Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Now, Golovkin trainer Abel Sanchez, he just did an interview on the podcast On the Ropes Boxing Radio. It was a good interview. The link is in the description so you can check it out in its entirety if you want to hear from Abel Sanchez's voice. I want to pull quote from what he said on a recent interview podcast, again, On the Ropes Boxing Radio, ontheropesboxing.com. And he says there's a bunch of ways to turn down a fight. I told you guys, I'm getting tired of even talking about Canelo versus Golovkin. I just want to see it. And Abel Sanchez says, and I quote, "There's a lot of ways to turn down a fight, and that's just another one of them." He's referring to De La Hoya saying, hey, what if Golovkin, if he fights for Billy Joe Saunders' belt to become undisputed in June, that would derail everything and mess up the plans for Canelo Golovkin, because we have investors who are ready to promote this fight immediately the day after Canelo versus Chavez Jr. So what if he gets hurt? What if he gets cut? What if he looks suspect? Things like that. Then it's going to derail a September Canelo fight. Abel Sanchez goes on and says, Eubank Sr. did a lot of those things too. The fight has been talked about for the past 2 years. The promoting of it has already been done. De La Hoya is just trying to make it easy for himself when they decide not to do the fight so he doesn't get criticized. He's posturing. He knows that this is a fight the public is looking for, and he knows that this is the best fight in boxing. Maybe the business of his company keeps him from finalizing the fight with Tom Loeffler. He goes on to say that the Chavez Jr. fight, it's not an easy fight for Canelo. He says it's a tough fight, and I think Julio scares him a couple of times. He may drop Canelo or may hurt him. So again, for more, check out OTR. And I want to give my thoughts now. Abel brings up a very strong point, very, very good point in what De La Hoya was saying. And like I said, me personally, I'm getting tired. I just want to see it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. I mean, boxing continually does this. They have great fights at the time, like Mikey Garcia, Yuriorkis Gamboa. It's just a bunch of talk about the fight. I just want to see it. Now, Canelo versus Golovkin is a bigger fight than like a Mikey Garcia Gamboa, even though I wanted to see that at the time. And that's because both fighters are both bigger names, you know what I mean, in their division and stuff, and in boxing. So Abel's right. The fight's been clamored for. People have been wanting to see the fight. I think stylistically it's a good fight. Me personally, I do my 7 reasons fight predictions. I literally don't know who I would pick in the fight. I could make a case for Canelo. He's improving. He has better upper body movement to me, better defense. I don't know how he takes a Golovkin shot or the Golovkin pressure. I don't see him like Daniel Jacobs boxed effectively and used his real estate to create space, and then he would take stands and then he would get kind of back to boxing. Canelo has slow feet, so I don't know if he'd be able to navigate like Jacobs, who also has an amateur background, which is something Canelo really doesn't have. Canelo is a good fighter, but he's had to learn on the job. He turned pro in Mexico, and just like other fighters like the Julio Cesar Chavez Seniors and the Orlando Salido, those guys have to learn on the job. Just be small clubs in Mexico and just start scrapping, and you know what I mean, make your way. That's why Salido, if you look at it, he's been knocked out, and a lot of them were his early fights. You're a young boy fighting grown-ass men or whoever, guys older than you, whoever the matchmakers match you up with. No mercy. So I can make a case for Canelo winning. I can make a case for Gennady Golovkin winning. I really just want to see it. But Abel brought up a very good point, very strong point in my perspective. It's just the fight is promoted already. So I told you guys on the previous video talking about the subject, if I'm Team Golovkin, I don't care what De La Hoya is talking about. I would press for your vision, your dream, which is becoming undisputed middleweight champion. You only have one more belt to do it. Because let's say they opt not to fight Billy Joe Saunders and they fight Canelo. And let's say it goes the distance and it's a close fight and they lose on the scorecards. Now you don't have the option to become undisputed because you lost a controversial decision. Or if Canelo knocked out Golovkin, now you don't have a choice to be undisputed. So I think since Team Golovkin is this close to unifying the whole division and being undisputed like Bernard Hopkins and other great fighters have been in their division, if you can make the Billy Joe Saunders fight comfortably, no struggle and strife. He says, I don't know because I'm not negotiating, but what he's putting out publicly, he's A, saying he wants to fight now, B, saying he's even willing to fight in Golovkin's backyard of Kazakhstan, which I think is nice for Golovkin because he's been a road warrior. He fights out of his homeland all the time. So, you know what I mean? Give him, that's right for guys like Kovalev to finally get to fight in Russia, fight at Isaac Chilemba, or Golovkin to fight in Kazakhstan. You know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely not opposed to that. He fought Danny Jacobs in his last fight in Jacobs' backyard, right? In New York, where Jacobs is from. And he's from Kazakhstan. So I think Abel brought up a strong point. Me, again, I just want to see the fight. It's both parties have done things that I think have prevented this fight, but he kind of makes a point is De La Hoya is kind of like softening the blow, slowing the bleeding. He can put something out now that if the fight doesn't happen, and they're putting David Lemieux on the undercard, which sounds like a strong play at Canelo Lemieux, is you're putting him on the undercard. Literally, David Lemieux just fought last month in March, and he's already back on the card. So to me, that is Golden Boy making a move to give David Lemieux even more exposure, keep him active, to possibly build up a September fight or whenever, a next fight with Canelo and David Lemieux if they both look good in their next fights on May 6th. But Abel's right, the fight has been built up, and if Golovkin fights in June, I mean, realistically, Golovkin, I was at his last fight. I covered the fight in New York. His face didn't look all cut up, and I mean, he had some swelling, some reddening, and some bruising, but he didn't have these massive Gabe Rosado deep cuts or swollen face like Cotto swells in some of his fights, like with Margarito and stuff like that. So De La Hoya, it does sound like he's just kind of throwing that out there because why? I mean, anything could happen in boxing, cuts, injuries, and you know what I mean? Kell Brook, no one knew him fighting Golovkin, he would damage his eye socket. Now they're calling him the Terminator, stuff like that. We don't know these things, but you can't just automatically assume the worst, especially like Golovkin, when he knocked out 23 people in a row up until Jacobs, and even at the Jacobs fight, his face didn't look all crazy, and he didn't have these massive broken hands and cuts on his face or whatever De La Hoya is saying to the Los Angeles Times. So me, that's just, it sounds like a patsy, a way that if the fight doesn't happen, you're like, hey, we told him not to fight. You know what I mean? But the thing is, Team Golovkin's kind of screwed because they don't have any solace. They don't have any guarantee. Like, okay, what if they pass up on Billy Joe Saunders for June, right? That's their opportunity to become undisputed and get that last belt. And you pass up, and then what if they offer you like, hey, your last numbers on pay-per-view, they weren't so hot, so we'll only give you $6 million. Now he just got $5 million versus Kell Brook, and he got almost $3 million for Jacobs. So if they cut the offer, which I don't know, this is just speculation and just like playing devil's advocate, but what if they cut the offer to something that he's definitely not going to accept? Now Golovkin did it, Amir Khan, and wasted time off of his career while the time's clicking. He's 34, about to be 35 or whatever, and you did all this waiting, and then you don't even get the Canelo fight. So me, I've always learned in boxing, there are no sure bets, and the Mayweather-Pacquiao, all these fights need to be made. You know what I'm saying? They played around with the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, and then Pacquiao ended up getting knocked out by Marquez. So, you know what I mean? They don't want to do that to Canelo. And I really firmly believe how focused Chavez Jr. is looking and stuff like that, that's not a guaranteed win for Canelo, because Canelo is moving up a lot of weight, and Chavez Jr. looks really focused. So if he's not a dead man on the scale, that, like Abel Sanchez is saying, and what I've been telling you, I did a video, 7 reasons why Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is not easy work for Canelo. And I still feel that. And I did that video immediately after the fight was announced. This was way before all these pictures of Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. looking ripped and looking dialed in and looking in shape and stuff like that. I've always felt that about this fight. And that just brings more confidence to me saying that previously. as opposed to if Chavez was looking lazy like he has looked in the past. So it's a good interview with Abel Sanchez. Make sure you guys check it out. I definitely agree. It sounds like there's really no promise from the Golden Boy side that this fight will happen. Me, I just want to see it. I'm beyond the finger pointing. I don't even care whose fault it is. Just want to see it. It's a good fight. Let me know if you agree. Check out that interview. Link in the description. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.